Some startups go up, others go down. Welcome to GeekWire's Elevator Pitch, where 3 entrepreneurs pitch their businesses in the 32 seconds it takes to get to the top of Seattle's historic Smith Tower. Over the course of 4 episodes, we'll narrow the field from a dozen entrepreneurs to one winner. In this episode of Elevator Pitch, presented by PACCAR, we'll hear from 3 startup founders as they pitch their emerging businesses to our panel of leading investors and entrepreneurs. Let's meet our judges. T.A. McCann, a serial software entrepreneur, investor, and professional sailor who sold his last company to Google and counts Rival IQ and more than a half dozen other startups to his name. Heather Redman, power broker and former Getty Images executive who cuts deals as managing director of venture capital firm Flying Fish Partners. Kyle Quinn, the CTO of PACCAR, who is leading the technology strategy for the innovative truck manufacturer. The clock is ticking. Jump on board and ride with us on the elevator pitch and find out which entrepreneur has what it takes to make it to the top.
Hi, I'm Jinesh Varia.
Welcome to Smith Tower.
Would you believe industrial OEMs capture only 25% of the after-sale revenue throughout the lifetime of the original equipment? The remaining 75% amounts to almost $400 billion market for high-margin parts, consumables, and services. Industrility is focused on this market, which is ripe for disruption. Using IoT sensors, cloud, serverless, and AI, we have built an end-to-end application platform that incentivizes dynamically to every single stakeholder in the supply chain and to ultimately increase revenue for our OEMs. Hello everybody, my name is Jinesh Varia. I'm CEO of Industrility.
How do you increase the percentage of aftermarket traction for the OEM?
So there are 2 ways. One, we increase the aftermarket revenue by making sure that the parts are genuine and they are detecting the counterfeit parts. So that way we create a completely new data stream called the parts data stream that will help understand that these are the genuine parts versus not. And the second is we make an incentive for the customer by giving them a dynamic warranty. So warranty will increase and decrease based on the use of genuine parts and service.
Can you give us a real world example? What specific OEM and what specific kinds of parts?
So one of our anchor customers are compressor companies and boilers as well as these diesel generators. They have air filters, oil filters, oil separators and so forth. We put our tags on those consumable parts. We detect automatically on our cloud system. I'm the creator of the AWS IOT button. So it's as simple as the button to understand and detect all the logic in the cloud to detect whether they are genuine or not. And once we detect that they are genuine parts or they are using a counterfeit part, we can then provide them dynamic incentives like the rebate or the warranty to make an incentive for the customer and whether they are using a genuine air filter or not.
So talk a little bit about your pricing model. Who has to make the purchasing decision to buy the product?
So we focus primarily as our customer being the OEM, the original equipment manufacturers, and we also work with distributors. So we have design kits, which basically will go into these as a quick prototype. They will test. We enable a completely new parts data stream, which is analogous to the telemetry data streams, and then that kit is their proof of concept to get started and work. Once they have proved the model, it works with their parts and consumables and services, then we roll it into either with a mobile app or with our own gateway, and we provide a complete application platform that will be for the distributor as well as for the customer. So distributor will be a person who will go out and reach out to all the different customers because they manage the relationships, and the OEM gets all the data.
One of the other things that's true about many industrial equipment types is that they're highly configured. So they're very, very customized. For example, you can have 17 different alternators. You can have 20 different air compressors on the vehicle. Can you handle that kind of complexity?
Very, very great. I mean, I'm glad you asked that question. So because we are built on a complete graph design, we can model every part which will be the recommended part for that particular OEM, and also recommend them. And if they do this, and if it qualifies in that plan to get the digital warranty or dynamic warranty, then it will automatically trigger on our platform that this is the right part for the right device. Today, there is no part data stream existing in the industry today, and hence we feel that by enabling parts data stream right next to the telemetry data stream, we might be able to gain more aftermarket, after sale revenue for the customers.
So one last question. What kind of margin cut do you take for the parts?
So these high margin parts are sometimes 60 to 70% margin, like whether it's an air filter or an oil filter. So we are working on this pricing model. We typically go with the value-based pricing. So if my customer makes more money, I will make more money. So that's a value-based pricing. But at the same time, we have an app-based model because a lot of customers want business outcomes as apps. So we have built these entire app store, which they can also decide that I want this app to be monetized versus the others.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank
Nice
you very
pitch.
much for the
Thank you.
opportunity.
Standard warranty is 2 years. After that warranty expires, we basically lose the customer. And we lose them to an independent service provider, and they start buying knockoff parts, right? They may still buy the parts from us, but they may not. And so any innovation that can help retain and bring that market back to us is valuable. And most OEMs are trying to pursue something along the lines. The one thing that's usually a challenge for these companies is to deal with the complexity of the product.
Right. Right, which he did have an answer for that too. And I think the other thing is he's trying to incent 3 different entities at the same time. He's got your distributors, he's got your customers, and he's got your OEMs. And that's tricky. So
that's usually where it breaks down.
Right, that's the complexity I worry about the most.
Well, this is one of those that would really benefit from a specific example.
Yeah.
So this is a compressor. It has 4 things that are aftermarket. This is how often you change them. This is the delta between the low-end product, the high-end product, and if you stay on the high-end product, you get a 3-year warranty versus a 2. And build from something that says like, oh, okay.
I think that's great coaching.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He needed to lead with that.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Robbie Hamblet from Teal Communications.
Welcome to Smith Tower.
By the year 2025, there will be 76 billion IoT devices. But IoT device companies struggle to deploy globally and find globally secure and redundant connectivity. That is where Teal Communications comes in. We have a connectivity platform that allows any company to get any device connected anywhere in the world with secure and redundant coverage. Imagine one chip that gets any device connected anywhere. That's Teal. Hello, my name is Robbie Hamblet. I'm the CEO of Teal Communications.
What's an early best use case for you?
Mobility is kind of the early one that makes the most sense in terms of being a mature IoT deployment and one with a data volume that really matches our use case.
Can you be more specific? Mobility is broad.
Yeah, so anything in smart mobility, so scooters, bikes, smaller devices like that. Automotive, we just started a paid pilot with an automotive company, which is projecting 600,000 units into 2022. Much larger data case, but right now it's something that we know we're going to be able to grow into to meet their needs.
So you've got competition in this space. What's better about your solution?
The key differentiator for us is the technology. So I'm an eSIM engineer by trade. I built connected car deployments for General Motors and Daimler. And what I saw was that these solutions weren't as dynamic as ours. And I really wanted to create one card that can be reprogrammed, regardless of phone number, identity, regardless of where it turns on in the world, basically. And so a lot of our competitor solutions are using off-the-shelf components, or they're using eSIM platforms provided by a carrier network. We've built our own eSIM platform, and that way we're agnostic from the carriers. So the carriers actually participate in the marketplace separately without us having to rely on one or the other.
You mentioned affordable. Tell me what affordable means.
Yeah, so our mission isn't just to be the cheapest connectivity provider, because it's kind of a horse race to the bottom. We've really focused on building out a feature set that makes a lot of sense. The side effect of that is that we're actually able to add data agreements that are a lot more flexible than our competitors. Because we didn't build our infrastructure inside of a carrier, we can onboard as many agreements with as many carriers and wholesale partners as we want.
If I were in charge of the scooter company that you may have mentioned, am I really only going to pay 30 cents to 1 cent for your solution? Is it that much cheaper?
So all inclusive, it's anywhere from $1 to $2 depending on scale, and we kind of scale the costs down so that it makes sense for somebody building fax machines in their basement that might have 5 machines they just want to test and want to get connectivity for $2, to anything at scale where we have a lot more flexibility with the numbers to make it go down to that to the lower side of that scale from $1 to $2.
So I'm not clear, if for an existing scooter company, are you offering a price advantage or a flexibility advantage?
It's a mixture of both. So a scooter company right now, they would probably talk to a single carrier and get one rate that works on their network, but then globally, they're kind of out of luck when it comes to building relationships in those markets if they've built inside of that carrier's infrastructure. From a pricing perspective, we think we can actually compete with the carriers in the home markets while adding those global features and the redundancy feature that we offer.
Tell me again really quickly how many active deployments you have.
So right now we've just started to commercialize this summer. So we've been a company for a couple years, and right now we've started with paid pilots, and it's IoT, so there's a lot of problems with like business model length and how long it takes to convert customers, but we think we're on a pretty good path with the biz dev that we've done to identify ones that are already at scale with more B2B direct sales as opposed to like growing something from a developer outreach program, which would take obviously a lot longer.
Okay.
But in terms of a clear number, we've got 3 contracts signed, and then we're going to be signing more soon. So
good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank
much. One of the things that's happened to me over the past few years is evaluating these is getting under the covers and finding that really the architecture is not secure and that it can't be secured, and then you start over. And so if they architected it right and it could be secured and affordable, it could be valuable. But they need somebody who can sell it.
That's very well summed up. I also was curious about the marketplace approach, because that is how he's driving down cost to some degree. He's like, I'm not a captive of any particular carrier or carriers, and so I'm able to go out and get bids, but I didn't really understand that and who's sort of the business genius behind that and who has those relationships. So I'd like to understand the business model side as well as the technology side more completely. It's clearly early days for them. I think they've only raised about $1 million. So, you know, I'm interested in how they develop, but I think they do need to add some more business expertise.
Yeah, in the cellular industry, the relationship model is complicated.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating also when you think about the different kinds of use cases. So do I have batch data upload? Is it a lot of data? Is it little? Is it bursty? Is it not? Is it in coverage or out of coverage? And the variabilities across all that. I mean, it's really interesting to think about from an engineering perspective, all those different use cases.
Hi, I'm Alan Meekins, CEO of RosHub.
Welcome to Smith Tower.
Do you remember the last time you ordered a package from an online retailer? Chances are that package was put together by a team of people and robots. That type of human and robot collaboration has really revolutionized the prices and the next day delivery capabilities of online retailers. And those same types of technologies and robots are making their ways into other corners of the worldwide economy. So we at RosHub are excited to develop tools to help people build these robots and these solutions cheaper and more cost effectively. This represents a $21 billion market opportunity, and we're excited to be part of this new frontier.
Alan, who's your customer and what do you sell them?
Yeah. So the typical customer in our business will change as the robotics market matures into cloud robotics. So today we're focused on developers, the people building robots, and tomorrow we'll be increasingly focused on the needs of the business and the analytics that they require about their operations.
So what do you provide the developers?
Yeah, so today we provide a set of tools, software tools that install on a robot using open source robotic software like the robotics operating system. That tool allows us to both deliver CI/CD to those developers, so they have a very Heroku-like experience. They put their code on GitHub, it shows up on the robot. From that point forward, they're able to easily, rapidly scale up a fleet installation and maintain contact with that device, even if it's outside of their controlled facilities.
So this is part of that robots as a service movement, right? Which I think makes a ton of sense. I mean, we've got some investments in that area. There's also a push toward edge processing too, right? So can you talk a little bit about how you kind of see the robotics industry evolving and how you would play in that space?
Yeah, absolutely. So robotics is a really interesting space because it really is kind of the place where the edge computing really was invented in the early days. So a lot of the applications that are already out there have significant compute frequently and the compute that's needed to do the job. So that frequently allows us to jump on board with that already existing compute package and run alongside of the existing applications. So kind of looking toward the future of the market, we do see that people will consolidate their tooling over time, but right now things are fairly plug and play. And this robot, for instance, features several components like a wireless charger from other suppliers, and we're able to integrate because of the open source.
Are you focused more on the hobby market or the industrial market? And if so, what is the specifics in those categories?
Our strongest focus is on professional robotics developers. Frequently those people do start as hobbyists, so hobbyists do recognize the tools that we're building, but we're primarily focused on monetizing those tools for those professional developers once they're in a team setting. And frequently those developers, we believe there's about 20,000 of these professional developers in the world today, and about 150,000 people who are just hobbyists and novices. So we both have a goal of taking those hobbyists and turning them into professionals, and also, of course, empowering all of those existing professionals.
So talk about your typical customer today. What's the pricing? What's your sales process?
Yeah, so very exciting news, which is roughly about the time that this video comes out, our product will be online. Today, the pricing will actually be free for those first set of users. As we start getting teams on board, we will begin to monetize those. We're targeting a price around $60 per professional developer a month, and similar price point for the robots themselves in professional environments for that connectivity on a monthly basis.
So you're monetizing the developer and on a per device basis.
Yes, yeah, and like I said, we're primarily focused on monetizing those developers in businesses.
So within the business, do you sell into the business as a kit, or is it a software license agreement?
Yeah, right now it's a typical software license agreement. We work almost identically to how GitHub works as far as signing up, starting off as an individual, and then bringing it to work with you and expanding it on your team. So we're really able to grow as quickly or slowly as those customers are willing to.
How many customers do you have today?
Yeah, so right now we have a back-ordered about 200 organizations. These represent educational organizations, industrial organizations, and new companies who are in the middle of R&Ding a product.
And how many have you actually delivered?
Yeah, so we've actually delivered to Ubiquity Robotics, who's our go-to-market partner in the warehousing and logistics space. And we've also delivered with a local Seattle company. We did an entire 2018 operation with them. And they're doing a quick service restaurant.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Cute toy.
Cute little robot, yep.
Yeah, I think it's oftentimes easily confused with the robot versus the robot operating system, which is also not theirs. Right. And the layer on top of that, which is CI/CD, which might be theirs, but also may be open source. So it's difficult to actually figure out what is the product. What is the product, and is the product differentiated enough from what it might be just normal developer tools? Right. And built into a normal developer tool like GitHub or otherwise.
Yeah, and why not just GitHub, right? Mm-hmm. You know, isn't there this, yeah, I guess I'm still struggling to understand exactly what the value prop is, and I feel like these guys have been in the market for a little while, and I haven't seen the uptake, even though I feel like there's a lot of activity in robotics and a lot of activity in cloud robotics.
The free solution for developers worried me a bit. I was wondering how you get to the money.
Well, at the enterprise level, there's probably some level of monetization and or management of, are we going to deploy, are we at staging or not, what can be deployed, what do we have to roll back? So in that sense, if you have a large set of industrialized robots, you will need some form of this software. It's just not clear yet that that's their solution versus somebody else's solution.
Yeah.
Right.
It's still so early in the market.
Thank you all. This was just a great group of companies to listen to and to think about the possibilities. You all are in super complex businesses. I get to give some feedback to Alan. So Alan, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for bringing in the cute little robot guy. We didn't come up with a name, but we should before we leave. So on the positive side, we love the space that you're in. We think robots and robotics are here to stay. We think the software piece of that is just going to become increasingly dominant, and that there will be some interesting players in your segment there. We like the developer focus. We would like to hear more about how you specifically are going to market with the developer segment, and we'd also like to understand better how you differentiate yourself from open source and existing, solutions like GitHub. So we're intrigued, but we're not yet sold. And so there's more work to do, I think, on the storytelling side of how this is playing out for your existing beta customers and how you see it playing out over time. And that's a challenge for all three of you, just because each one of you is in a really complex area. So this is a comment that we're kind of struggling with in general, but we're really excited about where you're headed. We just want to learn more, and we want to hear more about, once again, customers.
Robert, I'm a fan of kind of what you're working on. Three things I really liked was the continued sort of reinforcement of the cost, reliability, redundancy, and security as the value of the product. The fact you've got a couple of paying customers is really great. Some areas where you could probably improve is in the perception of it being a competitive market, your immediate reaction is to go to the technical sort of, why are you better? But you may be able to tell that more compellingly through the eyes of the customer. So for this customer, we beat so-and-so because of such and such. And the more of that you can do, it also makes it more real. What is the use case? What's the scenario? How many devices they have? And to the extent that it was US based or worldwide based. So telling the story through the lens of the customer, especially if there's perception of competitive landscape or competitive differentiation, might be more compelling.
Great. Jinesh, we really enjoyed your presentation. One of the things that was compelling about it is the way that you focused your effort today in compressors and gensets. This is a tremendously complex area, and you expressed your knowledge of that. We definitely felt like you provided great answers to some challenging questions as well. One area that you could really work on further is to more define the ROI that you're going to provide to each segment in the space that you're going to play. So keeping it simple and providing more business insight. Thank you very much. And so with that, the winner is Industrility. Congratulations.
One of the key things that stood out was feedback from Kyle. So as entrepreneurs, we really look for these kind of feedback because that is what will make us win in the marketplace.
In our next episode, 3 new entrepreneurs will hop on board the Smith Tower elevator, competing for startup glory. Check out geekwire.com/elevator pitch for new episodes.